Hey, everybody. Welcome back to our coverage here of the 20th National Congress and of the Communist Party of China. Good morning, everyone. And let's do a time check. Time check is 10:09 in Beijing. And let's do a temperature check. It's 26 here in I keep saying iChongqing. It's 26 here in Chongqing. And I'm Alex, and I'm here with iChongqing. And of course, we got Fermube Fernando, who is coming into the show today. Let us know. Good audio and good video. Thank you, Ken. Welcome. Hello, Rommel. Thank you for joining us, and the Quantum. Thank you guys for all joining in today. We have immense coverage here of the 20th Congress. And of course, we got some interesting things to cover here. Now, we've been working on Fernando's feed there and his audience. He's going to come on. We're going to put him on probably audio. We're finding that works best. But don't worry, he has a lot in store. Let's give him a dial, shall we? Let's call him up and see what he's doing. Let's give him a call here. And we're using, actually, WeChat. This is going to be new for us. Fernando, I'm calling you. All right, let's just see if we can get a hold of him. Let me know if you guys can hear that. Is there any feedback? Fernando, how are you? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Alex. How are you?
Good. Let's just do a sound check here with our audience and see. Can you guys hear Fernando? Just let us know if you can hear him clearly. If you do, we will carry on with the program. All right. 1 second, Fernando. Where are you based right now, Fernando?
Right now, I am in Henan, in a small place called Sanmenxia, which is a mountainous area in the north of Henan. And we've been visiting some pit dwellings. It's a kind of housing here in Henan, very traditional, where people live. They make pit holes, and that's where they live. But then again, I wanted to check if people are listening to this.
Yeah, everybody is. Yeah, and everyone's saying sounds very clear, loud and clear. Looking good. Some are saying that they used to talk to their girlfriends like this. I'm not sure, but anyway, it's intimate. Fernando, we're having a good time.
Excellent. Today we're talking about the 20th, right? The big 20th, which is very important.
Right.
And for those of you watching, we have a plan that we would like to cover. We might deviate and go through some rabbit holes, but in essence, we want to talk about some of the most important things that were discussed on the first day of that speech. You already did a video with Mario, but I would like to touch on some of the things that are not so obvious from what he was going to say.
Good.
But why don't we start talking about pre-20th and some of the ridiculous things that actually took place?
Right. And let me know throughout this show here, we've loaded a bunch of video clips and a bunch of images that you've sent into the show last night. We've made those into kind of like a slide program for the audience to see.
All right. So just about a week or 3 or 4 days before the 20th, you'll remember that situation in the bridge in Beijing.
Yes.
We also had the situation where Jen, as I like to call her, posted that Xi Jinping had been sent to prison.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
He had been deposed.
Right.
You remember that?
Yes, I remember that, yeah.
So we can see how the world is really concerned with whatever China is doing. And they cannot help it but create stories.
Right.
Things that they can peddle to their viewers, to their already biased audience, to try and discredit China one way or another. The end game for me is a little bit weird. I don't understand it, Alex. You might want to explain it to me. What is the point of saying that Xi Jinping is in prison?
0 point.
When he's just gonna come out and just make an appearance after his quarantine from being abroad. I do not get it. That's so ridiculous.
It's very strange, but the collective West media has always been strange for quite some time. We know that. We know that.
Yeah. The other thing was with the situation with the banner in Beijing, you could clearly see that that was written by somebody who doesn't speak Chinese very well.
Yeah, clearly.
Or who doesn't understand Chinese very well. There were some grammar mistakes. There were some strokes that were missing in some of the characters. And it was really prepared.
Scripted.
Before the event. Exactly. So it's, you know how America likes to do stunts around the world to create instability. This has all the signs of something like that. Again, it's going to be very difficult to prove it, but the facts are there. The grammar that was used in that banner was incorrect, and the strokes in those characters were missing. That doesn't happen if you're Chinese. So that leads us to think that that was planted.
You know, of course, and we've seen this with many things, many stories that are coming out there. You know, police, fake police images, fake images of people that have been held captive, allegedly. I mean, the stories that are coming out, the more obnoxious they are, the better the headlines.
Yeah. And, well, after the opening speech took place, I think it went for 2 hours, Xi Jinping. We have CNN coverage. We're talking about the ridiculous things. Then we're going to start talking about the serious stuff, okay? We got this CNN reporter. I think he's Steve CNN. That's his Twitter handle. He goes on TV and said that you have to focus on the small things. Xi Jinping was drinking tea as he was giving his 2-hour speech. And that's a sign of lack of stamina. For me, I just need to say, when he was giving the speech, the moment he finished the speech, which I watched, the first thing that came to my mind, imagine Xi Jinping drinking tea during a 2-hour speech. Now imagine for a second Joe Biden trying to give a 2-hour speech. You will be hearing 1,200, 428 times, where was I? Where was I? Where was I? So let's talk about stamina right there. I don't know. That was so ridiculous. And of course, pointing out the fact that Xi Jinping is in the middle and nobody is behind him at the beginning of the ceremony, and that's just protocol. But he's alone. He's left to his own devices. Oh my God, the crisis of the CPC. Well, they don't say CPC, they say CCP, right? But it's CPC. Of course. It's so ridiculous, and I don't know where does that land.
And he's going on about, the people are very unhappy. And he was reading it off a teleprompter, bad reading off a teleprompter. But you could almost say, if you wanted to fabricate that story, you could say, Mike Pompeo under duress. You can tell his eyes were twitching, that whoever was filming it, he was doing it under immense pressure. So I mean, those are things that yeah, I mean, it's incredible. Just before we move on to the show here, guys, I just wanted to show you some of the highlights of day 4 and day 3. Beijing, the coordinated development of Beijing Tianjin Hebei is a major national strategy. If you guys didn't know that, Tianjin and Beijing are very near each other. That whole area is getting a major investment in it. China has guaranteed that its food supply remains firmly in its hands. Shaanxi, the international domestic energy structure, has undergone major changes. Shaanxi must shoulder the major responsibility of ensuring national energy security, and the country must not worry about coal. I think my research guys sent me some other stuff here that I just wanted to bring up. Let me have a look here. One second here. Okay, one moment. Let me just pull this up. Yes, Chongqing new area. The Chongqing new area, the cumulative investment of more than, get this, guys, get this figure, write it down. This is a big one. 460 billion yuan has been completed, and the Chongqing high-speed railway station has been completed and open to traffic. Didn't we see a bunch of people that were talking about that it was a ghost town and never to open? Do you know about that area?
I don't know about that area, but I know about many stories like this where people say, "Oh, this is going nowhere," and then in 5-10 years is fully populated and is becoming a very productive area of the country. So, yeah, I've heard those stories, but not this particular area.
Yeah, I've done quite a sizable video on that area. Let's have a quick. Nah, we don't need to show it now. Let's move on. We got a lot to cover on that show. We'll do that in another show. But anyway, in the Chongqing area, it's major. It's basically a new super city. Yes. Okay. Fire away, Fernando. Continue, sir.
All right. Look, I think that the main theme of what we heard, or what we've heard so far, revolves around the word rejuvenation. There's rejuvenation of many different aspects of China. Mm-hmm. Its economy, its military, its democracy, education, health. Xi Jinping went through 16 different points. And in all of them, you could hear the word rejuvenation. So I'd like to take a moment for us to think about what does that mean in different aspects.
Right.
For me, rejuvenation means one simple thing. They do not rest on their laurels.
Correct.
They do not rest on their successes.
Can we say accountability too? Sorry to really interrupt you. Can we say accountability as well? Is that okay to say that?
Yeah, accountability is a very important part of what we see taking place in China. One of the points in that presentation, in that first speech, was corruption. We need to work on our corruption laws, and China needs to get better at stopping corruption. Accountability is so important because it gives the people the trust that they need in the government. When impunity is common, then you stop trusting the government.
Right.
When you see leaders being removed, when you see leaders being judged, when you see leaders that have done things that go against the well-being of society sent to prison, for example, that's accountability for a government. Now, what's the spin? He's going after his opposers. Well, you have two choices. You do the right thing because it's the right thing, or you don't do the right thing because they might say something that you don't like or that looks negative. Well, that should tell people that here in China, they don't care about what the West actually says. Somebody is doing corrupt actions, corrupt deeds, he's going to face the consequences. So accountability is really at the core of what Xi Jinping has done in the last 10 years. When he came in, you could hear it in the air, you could hear it in the circles, like, wow, now everything has to have an invoice. Now you can't drink alcohol when you go to a dinner with officials, because that is now going to be paid by the taxpayers. So many little things and big things that change since Xi Jinping came to power. Now, I was talking about rejuvenation in terms of poverty alleviation. When you think about 800 million people being removed from abject poverty, that is a gigantic endeavor. Well, what does that entail? It entails there are roads, there's water. There was a thing that was really special in those 10 years that Xi Jinping has been leader. Toilets. You remember?
Toilet revolution, man. It's a toilet revolution. And you know, there's no joking about that, Fernando. There's absolutely no joking. And the thing about what you're saying, when the people say, well, yes, he is cracking down. Yes, he is cracking down, because it comes from the top down. There's a responsibility. This man didn't get into this position because he knew someone, or he spent billions of dollars, like, you know, some of these people that run for election in the United States or make promises all over. I'm hearing there was figures between 100,000 to 270,000 people where you know, were either fined, arrested, whatever. But you know what? We'll see the Western media. It will point out, it will say, well, they cracked down on it. And the corruption. Not one person denies from the Western media that corruption did happen, because, oh, no. They could definitely not say, oh, China didn't have any corruption. So and then they say, well, how dare he clamp down on corruption? How dare he do that? That's very strange. People were breaking the law. He clamped down on it, lavish spending. And look at the figures. Look at the country. Look at the people. I mean, you know how it is in China here, Fernando. You know, there's accountability all the way down to the community leader. And I will tell the audience today, I have to say, and I'm so glad that you're on the program today, but 9 days or 10 days of effective dynamic COVID policy has brought my section of the city here where I'm in, we're 3.7 million, out of our, we'll call it small lockdown as of about an hour and a half ago. We're out of it. It's over. It's completed. The cases have dropped. I'm hearing, I think, last couple of days has been 0. And once again, it's just, I could only wish to see these types of programs implemented in our systems. Over to you.
Is exactly the same. And I would like to guide our viewers and our audience to my channel. If you go to the community tab, you'll see a post where you can actually watch a video that I did in Beijing at the beginning of September, when I talked about how efficient and effective the zero COVID policy is.
It's effective.
You went on lockdown for 9 days.
9 days, only 9 days, yeah.
And now it's safe. Your health has been protected, and now you can continue with your life.
Yeah, moving on.
I am also in a lockdown, so to speak, here in the mountain. Every day I go down to get my test, come back to my RV, do my work, just enjoy my time in this mountain. And this morning, we confirmed that we are free to keep on moving. So it's just a matter of, whenever there's a spike, whenever there is a situation, they target it, they deal with it, and once it's done, back to normal. Now, I actually talked about the importance of how to put it, the importance of defending this approach versus the Western's approach. And iChongqing sent a question on Twitter to me earlier about what do you think it was important? And I mentioned, look, opening up for China right now does not seem like a good prospect to me.
And
just my opinion.
I agree with you on that. It has to be a balanced approach.
All the effort, all the suffering, all the struggle, all the hardship of keeping us healthy, all the price that we are paying for staying healthy would go to waste once you open up the border to people who do not give a damn about this virus. To them, it's a thing of the past. Westerners is like, oh, we're back to normal. But they're not focusing on the numbers, on the deaths and the cases that they're registering on a daily basis.
Yeah. And there's in the US, it's still ripping. It's still ripping in the United States. It's still ripping pretty good. And it's still ripping in Canada and the United Kingdom. I think, who was it that just recorded over 100,000? Our audience can let us know. Let us know how things are going in your country. And we're not, as Fernando is saying, we're not coming at this on criticizing other countries. We're coming at this from a way of saying, this is how it is in a country of 1.5 billion. The rest of the world may envision that the dynamic, COVID policy here means that the entire country's locked down, shut down. No one can do anything. No one can go anywhere. Not the case. It's systematically done, whether it's in cities, whether it's in regions, whether it's in districts, whether it's in counties. The communities deal with it, the municipalities deal with it, and if the central government has to step in, they will also step in from a larger grand scale. But it's done in a way that I will give you an example. If you're in a city and I'm going to go back to using the collective West United States, for example. Let's say you're living in, I don't know, St. Louis, and there's an outbreak, and the cases start to rise. Well, immediately how it's done here is they go, all right, everybody, let's start testing. They start testing. They find out where the major area was spread. They target that area. They find out through the contact tracing app that works. Now, the audience might say, well, I don't want to give up my privacy. If you have a smartphone in America right now and you are on an Apple or you are on an Android mobile phone using the Play Store, you are definitely giving up your privacy anyway, okay? But these apps are very effective. And what they've done is give you an example. Like I said, again, if you're in St. Louis and there's an outbreak and there's an outbreak at a mall, they will know within hours who to contact and who to say, wherever you are, get a test. If you're green, if you're yellow, stay put. Stay where you are. We will come help you. We will come assist you. Not, we are going to take you away somewhere. No. It's there to protect your life. If you had an elderly mother, okay, which I do, I would be terrified. And my mother has breathing conditions, okay? So COVID is something that she definitely doesn't want to get, okay? And I don't want her to get it either. But the fact of the matter is I saw it firsthand again here systematically over the last 9 days, Fernando, on how it is done. It's not hard. You take your phone, you get it scanned, you get a free COVID test, you go on, you can get some groceries, come back home. Everybody's following the rules. There's nobody out there getting stabbed or people breaking into cars. Everyone is working and pulling together for the better of humanity. Now, they targeted, they found the area, they found the people. They even called us and said, did you guys go to the mall this certain day? We're concerned. We just were calling about your health, and we just said, nope, didn't go to the mall. And they said, okay, thank you very much. Have a nice day. Please follow your local rules and regulations from your community's leaders. Exactly what we did. 9 days, 3.7 million people. It's over. Now do that and see how many people you can save in the world here. Follow that program, and I totally agree with you, Fernando, that's why that's why China is not going to deviate away from this. They may open up with restrictions, but they're going to be systematically done. I even heard last night, and this is total speculation, everyone. Okay, this is speculation. This is just reading a few articles here in some of the Chinese newspapers and actually some of the international newspapers that they may try, at least in the Hong Kong, the special administration region, and Macau, to do a kind of quarantine in your own city prior to then going to these other parts of China. Now, you might say, well, that's a lot to do. Well, not really if you've got family and friends that you haven't seen for 3 years. And also, the mainland, there's still 5,000 cases yesterday just in Hong Kong, and less than, I don't know how many in China, but it was very, very low. So they're going to go that way, right? They're going to follow their procedures. They're going to follow their science, and they're going to follow something that was successful that has been actually trashed by the West. Fernando, go ahead. Thank you.
I don't want anybody to get the impression that people are happy about this.
Yes.
I don't want people to think that this is enjoyable. No. These are limitations, and these are things that nobody really appreciates fully until they realize that because those measures were in place, is that we get to live another day, is that our families are kept healthy. So going for a test every day, is that something that I want to do forever? No. But it's very easy to understand that is what we've got to do right now. You play with the cards that you're being dealt. And that's what China is doing. So in terms of COVID, I don't see China changing. A lot of speculation was out there saying like, after the National People's Congress, China is going to ease off. Mm-hmm. I don't see it happening at all. But I also want to touch on another aspect that Xi Jinping mentioned during his speech. Mm-hmm. And you guys touched on it when you were talking to Mario.
Yes.
One of them is China doesn't shy away from its problems. There are issues, for example, with birth rates. That is something that is going to be addressed, that needs to be addressed, that needs to be tackled. And the fact that Xi Jinping mentions it before the world, because everybody's listening and everybody's watching, should tell you that there is a high degree of transparency in China. Now, why are birth rates going down? People say, it's a sign of modernity. A better life or modern life usually causes drops in birth rates, the cost of living. So what can the government do? Well, they can work in trying to make the most expensive aspects of life in China cheaper. For example, one of them, education. Education is one of the most expensive items in a family. When you have a child, a kid, you want to give him the best education because you want him to be able to go to the best universities in the country. So what happens with the educational reform? Well, what they're trying to do is try to focus on vocational institutions where people can learn skills, can learn other trades, and in doing so, sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you still. Yeah, no problem. We still got you.
So this educational reform is about giving the lower brackets of income a path to success, a path to a
prosperous
life. That's what they're trying to do. That's what they talk about when they say rejuvenation. They're trying to do this. Let me see if I can change my camera 1 second.
Yeah, it's okay. We still have you here anyway, nice and clear. Oh, okay. We got you a bit. We'll keep the sound on your camera muted, but you can continue to talk through via WeChat. That would be great.
Sure.
The reason for everyone why we have Fernando on WeChat is just he's probably in not the greatest signal area at the moment, but I insisted that he be on the show today, and we did find a solution. So we have an image, and I think the voice is pretty clear here. I just want to once again, before Fernando carries on with what a great chat this is turning out to be, I want to say thank you to a lot of the people that have continued to come back here for our coverage all week. Thank you, Hang and Ken and the Quantum. Many of the other viewers that have come in, Cam35, thank you for that as well. We have Stefan, who comes in here that doesn't really see eye to eye with what we have, with what China has done here, but that's good. It's healthy for conversation. Obviously, this sometimes, these streams turn into, I would say, a place for people who are very frustrated with their government to come on chat forums like this and to scream out, to be upset, or to criticize another government's successful approach. I totally understand what people are like. They must be frustrated with the government of their own countries that are funding other wars around the world for multi-billions of dollars, watching the fuel prices skyrocket, unemployment, people dying. I get it. I understand it. And I think I know who you are. Anyway, go ahead, Fernando.
Well, this whole idea of reforming education is directly targeted at improving birth rates. When it becomes cheaper, when it becomes easier for families to have kids that will have a prosperous future, then there's an incentive for people to have larger families. Remember, the one-child policy was eliminated, and the birth rate is still dropping. Why? Because there was not a path for that. Now they're working on it. Let me see these weird flares. So now they're working on making it affordable for people to have larger families. Now, there's another aspect that's important there in terms of population. When kids are getting trained in different skills or different trades, is going to create opportunities for other types of economies to develop as well. So it's all connected to one another. Now, you cannot look at China's development over the last 3 years without thinking of how COVID had affected birth rates. Do people want to have children while we are in this pandemic? So that probably shows a big dip over the last 3 years. Now, once we get out of this pandemic, which is going to take some time, will it improve by itself? Is it going to be a natural response? So that's something to keep an eye on. Everything that Xi Jinping discussed has to be studied or looked at in light of the pandemic that we have experienced over the last 3 years, which is, 60% of the last period where he was elected. Now, another aspect that he mentioned that needs improving, he talked about democracy, rejuvenation of democracy.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? It means getting younger generations involved in the democratic processes of China. People say like, oh, China has no democracy. You don't know what you're talking about. There are democratic processes. So this rejuvenation of democracy means we need to start talking and getting younger people involved with volunteering, with young leadership in different communities and different spheres of life, be it sports, art, culture. So helping those young people who have a leadership skill to channel those energies, to channel those people to become much more involved in the ruling of the country, the running of the country. That's a very important part, because not every member of the community, and this is something that a lot of people don't understand, not everybody in China is member of the Communist Party. It's only 90 million and China has 1.4 billion people. What they want is more voices. It doesn't necessarily have to be members of the Communist Party. It could be from any of the other 8 political parties in China. Did you hear me? 8 political parties in China, and they're all represented. It was wonderful for me to see when the cameras are panning around, see the minorities being represented. So this rejuvenation of democracy is an acknowledgement that there's more to be done. There are levels of democracy. There's levels of involvement and listening to people. As I said at the beginning, it's about not resting on your laurels. They listen to the people, they reform, they enact rules and new measures to run the country in a way that favors the people, in a way that satisfies the needs and the requirements of people. But they're always thinking there's more to be done. If I were to go back a little bit, one of the issues with rejuvenation of rural areas, and this is something that I was talking to iChongqing about, one of the issues is that younger generations any kind of activity related to tourism. That's number one. So now the job is to make the rural areas more attractive to the younger generation, to this Gen Z. And they're doing it little by little. First, poverty alleviation, right? Build the roads, improve the toilets, give them Wi-Fi coverage, give them water, give them the basics. Rejuvenation means take it to the higher level. Now, when people say, does that mean that there are no poor people in China? Of course there are. Of course there are. And that means the job is not done yet. As I mentioned, they have roads, they have water, they have Wi-Fi, they have power, they get to sell their produce online. But the job is not done. I think that's the main thing about rejuvenation. It means we haven't finished yet. And I would like to touch on a very important aspect of Western media and Xi Jinping getting reelected. Mm-hmm. Why is he getting reelected? Because he's not done. Because the project is not done, because the targets and the goals and the objectives that he has presented to the country are not finished. And everybody in the country understands that. Even under COVID issues, you can see that he has delivered, but he's not done. People, when is he going to step down? When he's done, or when he fails to perform at the requirement of the other members of the Politburo. So it's that simple. He gets reelected because he is delivering on the goals that he has set, and he's also not finished with his projects. When you read his books, right, you understand. I mean, a lot of people who criticize Xi Jinping haven't even read his books. It's a very detailed map of what he wants for China. And because of what he wants for China is that he was elected. I also wanted to talk about one more thing that Xi Jinping addressed during his speech. It was quite brief. However, a lot of people are talking a lot of headlines. He talked about Taiwan. He said, Taiwan is part of China. We want peaceful reunification. He said that again and again and again. If you think that Taiwan is not part of China, international law disagrees with you. International diplomatic agreements disagrees with you. So he talked about extending one country, two systems to Taiwan. Now, the thing that everybody held on to in Western media was the fact that he said one sentence.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew what you're talking about.
We will not take off the table military action. Oh my God. But they forget the rest of the sentence. Against foreign forces. Against forces that are seeking the independence of Taiwan. Just don't mess with Taiwan. There's no need for anything. Now, a lot of people...
Yeah. We're going to cut into some coverage here. Authorities brief media on building higher standard rule of law in China. I think it's important. Let's listen to a couple of minutes of this, because this could really cover what you were speaking about before. Do you mind if we cut to the feed for about 2 minutes?
Let's go.
Integrated reform of civil, administrative, and criminal trials of intellectual property rights, applied punitive damages to significantly increase the cost of infringement, and strengthened the mechanism for linking administrative enforcement with justice, so as to enhance the ability to protect the whole process. Fourth, the international influence of judicial protection has continued to rise. We have protected the legitimate rights and interests of both Chinese and foreign IPR holders impartially in accordance with law, fulfilled our obligations under international treaties, deepened exchanges and cooperation with WIPO and others, and demonstrated our clear position on strict protection of intellectual property rights. More and more foreign companies have chosen Chinese courts to settle their disputes. Looking forward, we will give full play to the function of adjudication and serve the strategy to promote China's science and education. The People's Court plays an important role in this aspect and will continue to enhance judicial protection and serve the high-level independent technological progress. Second, will improve rules for the protection of IPR in big data, AI, and genetic technology, enhance justice in fighting monopoly and unfair competition, and promote the orderly and legal development of capital. Will step up and coordinate the interaction between the legislative branch and the administrative and executive branch. Third, will make the judicial protection system more fair, efficient, science-based, clearly bounded, and complete. Advance the building of the professional trial system. And fourth, will deepen international judicial exchanges and cooperation and improve China's image and international influence as an impartial IPR protector.
西区第6排那位穿绿衣服的男士。
谢谢主持人。法制日报记者提问。
Thank you.
党的20
Legal
大提出
Daily.
要全面
In the
推进
report, it is
严
said
格
that
规范，
administrative
要
law
全面推进严
enforcement
格
will
公
be
正
strict,
文明执法，
procedure-based,
严格规范公
impartial,
正
and
文明。
civil
请
across
问
the
公安
board.
机关
How
将如
does the
何把
public
公平正
security
义的价
system
值追求
embed the
融入到司法的
fairness
全
and
面？
justice in all the procedures of law enforcement? Thank you.
党的20大对坚持全面依法治国、
The 20th CPC
推进
National
法治
Congress
中国建设做出了新的部署，
has
提
made
出了
new
新的
plans
要求。
for promoting the rule of law
我
in
介
China
绍一
and
下
exercising law-based
公安机
governance
关
on all
这一
fronts.
方面的工作情况和今后的打算。
Let me share some information about our work in this area and our
全
future
国公安机
plans.
关认真贯彻落实习近平
The public
法治
security
思想
organs across the country have
牢牢
thoroughly
把握
studied and implemented the Xi Jinping thought on the rule of law, stuck to the requirements of strict, procedure-based, impartial, and civil law
法治公
enforcement,
安建设，
and continuously
公安
improve
工
the
作
rule
的
of
法
law
治化水平
in public security
执法
work,
公信力
making our
不
work
断提升。
more governed by the rule of law and enjoy
公
greater
安机关积极配合各关
credibility.
部门，
In the past 10 years, working with the relevant departments, we have
反有
helped
组织
to make and amend anti-terrorism law, cybersecurity law, anti-organized crime law, and anti-telecom fraud law, and other laws
密
and
切相关
regulations
的
that are closely related to public security work. Altogether, 15 laws and
行政法
10 laws and 15
开了
administrative
公安机关办理 刑
rules.
事案件、
We have also
行
implemented
政案件、诚
and
信
rolled out
定的规
rules of
章
work for the
22
handling of criminal cases and
制定了
administrative
一系列
cases,
的
22
执法
in
细
total.
则
We have
行为
also
指引
promulgated a number of rules, guide to action, and manuals
在法治的
to
轨道上
ensure that law enforcement in our system operates on the track of
在
the rule
执
of
法
law.
实践中，
In our practice,
公安机关坚
we
持依法行政，
make sure that we fully discharge all legally mandated duties and
不断改进
handle all
执
cases
行司法方
according
式
to the law. We are
强
improving
化执
our
法前
method of
沿层的
working and strengthening oversight and management over the whole procedure of law enforcement. We have promoted 5 mechanisms with great vigor. The first is to
受益案的制
reform
度改革，
case filing
明
system
确
to
立案的
define
审查
clear
期
deadlines
限
for
换
case handling,
加强日常的
strengthen daily inspection and oversight so as to resolve the problems of delayed recording of cases and deviation from standard procedures. Second, audio and visual recording of on-the-ground law enforcement. We have provided with our frontline police officers more than 1.3 million pieces of devices for such recording to put on record all procedures and standardize their practices. Third, subject the whole procedure of case handling to oversight. We have established and launched into operation 3,027 law enforcement case handling centers in cities and counties across the country, basically covering all the registered cases and counties in China. As a principal, criminal cases are all handled in these centers. Fourth, we are promoting greater openness in law enforcement to enable maximum openness in terms of legal mandate, procedures, progress, and outcomes of law enforcement to ensure the public's right to know, participate, and to exercise oversight. Fifth, we have established accountability system for law enforcement to hold mistakes accountable in law enforcement and ensure lifelong responsibility for the quality of cases they handle, to ensure that those with powers have the corresponding duties and abuse of power is held accountable. In the past 10 years, we have continuously increased political awareness and strictly managed the whole team and educated the public security team to minimize the problems of unfairness and lax practices. We have carried out extensive training across the system, having held more than 300,000 training sessions, which enhanced our police officers' sense of purpose, sense of the rule of law, their commitment to human rights protection, and enhance their capacity for better law enforcement. We have seen a large number of strict, procedure-based, impartial, and civil cases of law enforcement that are impeccable and can be used as textbook cases. We have received widespread acclaim, so we have made tremendous progress and achieved great results. Going forward, the public security organs across the country will further study the spirit of the 20th CPC National Congress, stay guided by the citizen thought on the rule of law, stick to the requirements on advancing law-based governance on all fronts and promoting the rule of law in China, and promote strict procedure-based, impartial, and civil law enforcement across the board, crack down on the activities of hostile forces in subversion, sabotage, and crack down on the crimes that arouse the strongest public concern, protect the legitimate rights and interests of the people in accordance with the law, deepen reform of law enforcement oversight and management, and improve the operation of law enforcement powers in accordance with the law so that the values of fairness and justice is fully embedded into the whole procedure of law enforcement in our system, to make sure that the public can see that fairness and justice is in action in every case we handle and every matter we deal with. We will make new contribution to build a higher standard rule of law in China.
Well, you heard it there. I just want to go over a couple of key points here for the audience. Accountability, adding 1.3 million cams for transparency. Also, they're talking about the court system, that international companies are using the court system, the Chinese court system, to help them litigate against IP theft. Okay, are the people listening to what this man just said? He's talking that we will continue to move forward to make the society safer, but in the same sentence saying that there are civil cases that need to be resolved. There are criminal cases that need to be resolved. There's more transparency. People will learn the rules of law. And this, once again, is textbook. I mean, it's textbook, Fernando.
Look, I am one of those people who have had the experience of going to court, actually, 2 times. And whenever people tell me there's no rule of law in China, I say that's not my experience. Because in both cases, I have won. As a foreigner, as a whatever you want to call it. They just listen to you, you present your evidence, you go to court and say like, hey, you did this person wrong, so you need to compensate him for this or for that. So that's my personal experience. Now, is this high-level legal stuff? No, it's just my personal experience. But you cannot rest on your laurels. You might be doing something great, but it needs to be perfected. That striving to get better at what they're doing, it's something that you can only do if the foundation is solid. If you're constantly trying to fix the foundations where you've messed up in the past, it's very difficult to move forward and to improve on what you're doing. So they're doing something to improve on what they have. I wanted to address one of the things that I said, not in relation to rejuvenation, but in terms of the attacks that we are seeing lately. You have there Liz Truss on our screen.
Do you want me to keep these headlines up, this headline page up there? Are you okay with that?
Fine, but I'm going to mention a couple of things that perhaps we can show to our audience as well.
Absolutely.
When Xi Jinping is calling for the rejuvenation of the military, people are like, oh, look at China. But can you please take a second and look at what the world is saying about China? Liz Truss has decided that China is going to be listed as a threat to the UK. What does that mean? What has China done to the UK to grant that status as a threat? Nothing. I beg of our audience to put it in the comment section. What has China done to the UK that merits being classified, categorized as a threat to the UK? Then you step onto the EU. And I think I sent you that short video of Ursula von der Leyen. I forgot how you pronounce her last name.
Van der Crazy.
Van der Crazy. Defeating Russia is not enough. We need to go after China. The objective in the end is China. This is the leader of the EU telling you that they're coming for China. What has China done to the EU? Now, just this morning, our great friend and a great person to follow on Twitter, Arnaud Bertrand, a French guy, he's back in France. He shared on Twitter 2 pages of indications that the Senate or the Congress, I forget which one of the 2 in the United States, is pushing to get, and let me get this right, I don't want to say it, there is bipartisan legislation that has been introduced in the Senate that would grant the Pentagon wartime procurement powers to tackle China.
Wow.
A potential confrontation with China. It says, with an eye not only on Russia, but the potential for confrontation with China. The UK calls China a threat. The EU says, oh, Russia is just the path to get to China. And now the US is making arrangements to get money under wartime circumstances to address the issue with China, the threat of China. Anybody, please write in the comments, what is the threat? I do not understand it. But if this is what we see publicly, us, schmucks, imagine what intelligence in China know. And preparedness, readiness, rejuvenation of the military for defensive purposes is necessary. If he doesn't do it, if he doesn't talk about it, if China doesn't get ready, then what? He's failing at his job. So when people talk about, the talk of militaristic developments and rejuvenation is crazy. No, it's not. It's at the level of the circumstance presented by the West. Is that clear? It's really important for people to remember that China has one military base abroad.
Yeah.
And that the US has over 800.
800.
Many of them are around Russia and China.
You know,
China is the threat.
Fernando, when I was in Romania many years ago, traveling through there, I was like, wow, look at the size of this consulate, you know, just in Romania. And you will see the embassies all around that eastern part, and even down as you get to you know, and I don't even want to get into the NATO-led war in Yugoslavia, because that is a whole other live stream in itself. But these countries now that you know, before the breakup of Yugoslavia, now you got Bosnia-Herzegovina, massive military U.S. base. You got Kosovo, massive military base. I mean, everyone could see this coming. The average person knew that this was coming. You kept banging on the doorsteps. I don't see, you know, Chinese warships on the coast of the California coast. I don't see them there. Then you have people that say, wow, look at, there's Chinese police in the United Kingdom. They shouldn't be there. Wait a moment. The FBI works all around the world in intelligence and has their locations all around the world. You know, let's shift over to I'm just going to go through a couple of the headlines to get them out of the way here. And then we'll get into your footage that you sent in last night. And we've also got that together. This is the Le Tribune in France. It's I would say it's a well-read magazine, and of course they have a lot of articles. They're talking about Peugeot and Citroën. They're talking about these two companies that could be leaving the market in China. Well, if I'm a shareholder of those companies, I would definitely wonder what's going on there, because you bring these companies back to manufacture in France. Look out what's going on in France right now. There are strikes all over the place. They're demanding higher wages, which is understandable because inflation's gone through the roof, bad decisions from the government. But when you start seeing automobile giants like Peugeot and Citroën wanting to move their production back because they're getting pressured back to France. We've seen this before. We've seen these companies come back. They try it. They go under. They either sell the brand back to China, and then China moves forward with that brand. We have a couple more headlines here, and this is amazing. We don't really see too much talk about China. This is the front page of the Australian last night. DNA tests fail, rape victims. More internal issues going on in these countries. Endangered whale. These are the headlines where I think, shouldn't China be on the headlines of some of these international magazines? They should be, but they're not. They're probably on the 5th page or even the back page. This is China Daily. Xi urges unity to achieve rejuvenation. Another one here. Of course, you saw the Liz Truss. Now, I want to talk about this UK situation here with Liz Truss. 3rd Prime Minister about to be replaced in the United Kingdom in 6 months. That should send shockwaves across the collective West that something is not right. Something is, and all arrows are pointing to, more governments to be, come up for election, to be reelected. We are seeing it in the provincial part of Canada right now. They are throwing out provincial governments and replacing them in staggering numbers. And I think people are going to be held accountable for their decisions. Liz Truss is very anti-China. And we're seeing the Wall Street Journal, which is I would say, relatively respected newspaper in the United States. Not one print of anything to do with China on their front page. Wow. Okay. Seriously, that is the gist of it there. So those are the international headlines, and we dig into those each day to try to find and get an idea of how the international market thinks of China at this time. Let's go to a couple of comments in the side here. We have China raising Belt and Road Initiative, Huawei 5G. Yes, they're great networks here in China. We also have some other comments. Here's an interesting comment. Drugs can ruin people's lives and the economy. So true on that. If you come to China and you want to embark on a mission to continue drug usage, this is not the place to be. And there's this fear again when you talk about rule, law, and order. People say, "Oh, they brought in rules, they brought in laws." If you're a citizen that's going amongst your lives, having a good time, raising a family, enjoying going out for drinks, having fun, it's a great life. But if you break the law, if you cause harm, if you rob people, if you steal, if you commit crimes, you're going to get caught. You're going to get caught. And, there's one thing to say about high conviction rates here, but I'm going to go into just a minor detail. Then we're going to hand it over to Fernando because he's got quite a display that we're going to show you here. People say, well, China's got a high conviction rate. Yeah, they do. Because they probably got a high rate of evidence too. Okay. And that helps in prosecuting people that do bad. I'm godsmacked on people that defend criminals. Okay. I am. Oh, well, maybe there should only be a 50% conviction rate. How's that working out? Here's how the United States legal system works. Okay. And I challenge anyone to prove me differently. Look up the 2 largest prison systems in the United States, and you're going to be godsmacked about this. They are publicly run companies that trade on the stock market, on the New York Stock Exchange. They spend money to lobby the judicial system, the judges, to put longer conviction rates on offenders. Why? Well, if you have a publicly run prison, yes, a 1 year, a 3 year could turn to 5 years or 7 years or 10 years. And well, lo and behold, you're just another figure on a balance sheet. That is not a word of a lie. You can look it on the internet. Maybe, if our viewers have time, look up 2 look up largest publicly traded prison systems. Okay. They're money-making machines. United States has the most incarcerated people in the world. I'm not lying about that. They have one of the most incarcerated people in the world, and it's not hard to break the law there. Now, if you don't have money there, you got a bigger problem to defend yourself, even bigger problem. And that's for another day, but let's JD, publicly run companies. The prisons are run like a company internally, probably by private operators, but they are on the balance sheet as publicly run, listed with ticker symbols and everything. All you guys got to do is look it up, and that will say it right there. That yeah. So I think we got some slides we want to show here, right, Fernando?
Yep.
Okay,
yeah.
let's get to these here. Let me see. Now I've been clever. I put a nice little slideshow together for you. So I have one slide called photo clips. Okay, I think you know what those are.
Mm-hmm.
And those are also including the text clips that you've sent. The text clips will be at the end of those. So the photos will go in the order that you did send me. Okay. So the photos will go on the order, and we can stop them at any time, rewind them, look at them. The second one is 3 video clips that I've put in the same sequence or 2 or 3. I think one looked duplicated, but anyway, I've got those on there the second. So which ones would you like me to load first?
Well, one of the things that we also want to talk about is the situation that has taken place in Manchester, right? So everybody's aware of that. There has been an incident at the Chinese consulate, and it is being investigated by police. Now, there is a lot of footage that has been shared by BBC. And today, we got the footage shared by the consulate. In that footage, you can see these people entering the consulate. One of them runs and actually enters the consulate. The other is known as Bob. He walks past the official and then ends up inside the consulate as well. Now, let us be fair. The officials from the consulate stepped out and kicked one of the banners. Another one took one of the banners and brought it inside. So, what prompted these officials to go out and do this? Number one, the things that they took down are without a doubt considered offensive.
Of course.
And there is a law. There is a law that you cannot put offensive things on display. It's a public disturbance. So I'm thinking, and this is where it's a speculation. Did the consulate complain? Did the police do nothing? I don't know. But this is clearly against the rule. You cannot have offensive text and offensive imagery and offensive during, in a public space. So that's where this is started. Let us move on to the 2 individuals who entered by themselves.
Should we show this footage, or do you want me to hold?
Okay, this footage, what we're seeing right here
Or I
is
have this.
the second person.
I have.
Okay, I want you to pay attention at this person on their. Okay, this is great. This person with the yellow mask.
Just tell me to move forward when I
Bob.
need to move forward, okay? Just let me know.
Sure. As you can see, this person is behind the man with a scarf and a beret. That person is an official from the consulate. So he is behind him. You can see on the right, people starting to storm towards the gate. Why? One of the officials took one of the images that was really offensive, and he's bringing it inside the consulate. That is something that the police needs to determine whether that was an issue or not. Now, what was the next issue? You see the people running. So let's go to the next one. Now, you can see this man with the yellow mask under the yellow arrow is now running towards the gate. A very important thing to remember, he did not have to do this. He chose to move his feet and go towards the gate. I just want you to understand his location. On the right, you see a man holding a camera above his head. And two gentlemen, one with a gray hoodie, is pulling somebody out. At this moment, these protesters pull two officials out. They throw them on the ground and start beating them. That is something for the police to determine what punishment do they deserve. Can you move forward? Now here we have two arrows. One is a red arrow showing the consulate official. He's being followed by another consulate official in a red jacket. And now we see Bob, who previously was behind the consulate official, in front of the official, and he's headed for the door. Now, at the forefront, you see the guy with the gray hoodie. He's gotten a hold of a man with a helmet and kind of like a vest, what looks like a vest. This man in the vest will end up on the ground, being hurt, being kicked. All right, let's go to the next one. Again, this is a little bit going back in order, but we see Bob, yellow mask, behind the official. This is the beginning of the situation. Next. And now he's in front. So the official is walking. Bob is running. He has overtaken him. Let's go to the next one. Again, he's in front. And we're going to see a video of him, this Bob guy, stepping into the consulate by himself. This is extremely important because once you breach the limits of the compound, you are under completely different jurisdiction.
Yeah, sovereignty has been broken.
Exactly. Let's continue. You can see him. Okay, remember, the official is on the red arrow. Next to the official is a man with a red and gray jacket, which is security. In the video that we're going to play later, you can see actually two people breaching the consulate grounds. One of them, I think we're going back to the beginning. Well, perhaps we can watch one of the videos.
Just move forward on the clip here.
Okay, this is when one of the officials takes one of the pictures that was offensive, which, remember, is against the law in the UK. You can see them sprinting to storm the gates. It seems coordinated because at the same time that he starts running, Bob starts running. Does that seem like he is being forced? No. He is running out of his own will towards the gate. Next. And this man, in a video that we're going to see later, ends up inside the consulate by his own 2 feet. Here at the back, in the background, behind the gray hoodie, you can see in the yellow mask, Bob walking into. Now, this is one of the officials. This is the one who took one of the pictures. They dragged him out. They threw him on the ground. And they started kicking him in the head. 3 different people kick him in the head. Outside. He lost his helmet. He was wearing a helmet. So let us be clear. We could be talking about what the officials did needs to be investigated. Right? These people need to be investigated too. The level of the brutality of this assault. You don't have the right to execute or pass judgment on what somebody did. That is for the police to do. But here we see 3 people. Okay, this is perhaps the most controversial photo because people are saying, oh, this person was dragged in. The timeline is really important. This is Bob. At this moment, let's go back. Bob has already breached the compound. What does that mean? You are now in Chinese territory. We will hold you in. There are 2 aspects playing here. It's a fast-moving situation. Some people are trying to push him out. And that person, with his hand on his vest, on his jacket, is trying to push him in. There is no time to coordinate these things. These things happen. What's going through the mind of the guy pulling him? Well, he's entered Chinese territory. Now we deal with him. We could extradite him, we could whatever. This is just a speculation, okay? This is what I think might be going through the mind's head, while the others are trying to push him. However, after this is where the videos come. He ends up inside the consulate one more time. And he starts attacking the person that we saw before with the red and gray jacket that you see him behind. So perhaps we could show some of the videos. I don't know if you were able to upload them. Okay, what we're seeing here is Bob beating on the ground the guy in the red jacket. He has stepped in and started beating that guy. Now, officials come out and start to, as you can see, telling him, let go, let go, let go, let go of this guy. He doesn't want to let go. So what do? They punch him. Let go, let go, let go. This is the video that I wanted to show you. This is the first individual. This is Bob. But let's go to the other video, the one that just started. This is the guy that we saw previously running. He's right at the gate. Run it for another second, and he's inside the gate. You see him there, right? He's inside the gate. And those are the people there that, okay, now you've entered Chinese territory. Now we're going to hold you here. You see him running, and he ends up inside. And what do? They start grabbing some of these people with helmets. They drag them outside. And then they start beating them. Look there, stop. The red circle.
One sec, we'll wait. I'll rewind it. Tell me where to stop, I'll do it.
There. The red circle on the left. The guy in the gray hoodie and the lady in the white jacket, they pull the guy out. This is one of the guys with helmet and a vest. They throw him on the ground and they start beating him. The red circle on the right shows us two things. Shows us this protester entering the compound and dragging the other person out. Okay? That is the guy in the circle to the right that gets kicked in the head. And there's clear footage of who did it. So that's a separate investigation. That's a separate case. So this video shows us two things. The beating of two officials outside the gate. And it also shows us one of these protesters breaching in. There's another video where you can actually see Bob, the guy with the yellow mask that was coming behind the other official and the security in the red jacket. You can see there at the back, the guy in the red jacket. Well, this Bob guy is in front of them. And that Bob guy walks inside as well. And remember, once they're in, something kicks in. Okay, let's keep him inside and investigate him. Let's see what's going on with this guy. Who is he? Is he on any kind of database? Is he wanted in Hong Kong? So that's that instinct to want to keep them inside. In the end, that Bob guy ends up on top of the guy with the red jacket that you see between the two circles. So the guy with the red jacket is behind Bob. Bob enters the compound, and then he starts beating the guy with the red jacket. Can we play? Look at, stop it there. Or maybe replay this bit. Keep an eye on the guy with the red jacket and the guy with the black hat entering the gate right in front of him. There's a yellow tile or something. Keep an eye on the guy. Right now, red jacket is touching Bob. Like, hey, I want to go in. And then Bob goes in. That's when he started beating the guy. Again, in the circle, we see the other official getting kicked. This is a good one. If you could play this one.
You know what's amazing, Fernando, is that people are getting these ideas from other people that have been very flamboyant on social media. I'm not going to promote that person's Twitter feed, but we know exactly. They had an incident a few months back in the UK with a national from, we'll say, from the Commonwealth. And this sets up people to think that they can walk up to any embassy around the world and behave in any way. First of all, you try to do this in America, you'd be shot on the spot. There would be no story. There would be a story about people being executed. And I mean, you are entering a sovereign country. People have to understand that it's China could have used more force in this situation, right?
Yep.
And things could have got a lot nastier than what's happened here. And then you see the police kind of running in there. I mean, it's a little bit late, if you ask me. I mean, the moment that you breach that line, that sovereign line, everything changes. I'm surprised. Well, carry on with your story. I'm just surprised that this didn't get a lot.
Two things that I want to mention. Number one, some people were pointing out, the guy in the red jacket at the beginning seems to have an object in his hand. We don't know what it is.
It's scary. Yeah, you don't know.
I'm like, well, from the photo, from the video, it could be anything. It could be a communication device. It could be a phone looking at it from a certain angle. It could be anything. The question is, that is the guy who was attacked by Bob inside the consulate.
Wow.
If that was a weapon, he didn't use it. Did he use it? No. Now, there's another interesting thing that a good friend of ours pointed out. His name is Gray Fox. He mentioned that you can see Bob walking out with his mask in place. And when he goes out and does the interviews, he's got scratches underneath the mask. That's an interesting thing to explain. So let's try to summarize a little bit what took place here. This protest was breaking the law because they were displaying obscene messages. Then these people breach the compound with their own feet. These people beat three officials, 2 outside, 1 inside. And this is what the police is showing you. The police is showing you, this is a photo that I sent you this morning.
Right. I think I showed it, didn't I?
I don't know. It says incident at Chinese consulate protest.
Let me roll that. Yeah, I have that. I've got that footage. Let's have a look at that. Let me just move forward here. Is this what you're looking for?
Here. Yes. So here are the rules. Yeah. They need to announce that they're going to protest, and they cannot display things that can be described as altering the order or offending people, which is basically what those signs said in Chinese. And the pictures that was attempted to bring into the consulate was displaying as well. So, but that's a different case. I'm not going to discuss that particular part. But take a look at the incident report from the Manchester police. They say one man was attacked. One man? What about the 3 Chinese ones? 1 inside the consulate, 2 outside. So you could see that the police is reporting this in a way that is not accurate. You can see it in the video. There's 2 guys with helmets being attacked, and there's a guy being attacked inside. Is Bob punched once he's inside the consulate? Yes. Why? To get him to let go of the guy that he's attacking. So again, it's very unfortunate what took place here. And we have to wait and see what the judgment is going to be. You can see him on the ground, and they're trying to get him off him. Let go, let go, let go. Oh, you're not letting go? Okay, here, have a punch or 2. Let go, let go, let go, let go. Once he lets go, he is ejected from the consulate. And this is where the picture is taken, when one of the Chinese guys is kind of like holding him. Perhaps thinking, okay, we can keep him here. Look at those officers being dragged out. Look at those officers being dragged out. The officer on the left doesn't have it too bad. He's thrown on the ground. Somebody sits on him. Another person punches him. But the guy on the right is the guy who gets kicked in the head 3 times. And this is their modus operandi. This is what they do. And they do this to try to draw attention to China more and more and more.
Ill-informed.
These people...
Ill-informed.
Exactly. These are the people who left China, left Hong Kong, after they were caught doing the same things in Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, it was even worse. In Hong Kong, they set people on fire. In Hong Kong, they killed a person, an innocent person. In Hong Kong, they destroyed the subways. In Hong Kong, they burned buses. In Hong Kong, they stabbed police officers. So good luck, UK, dealing with these kind of people. So a bit upset at the police reporting only 1 person being attacked, because I can show you 3 other people being attacked. That's what we've done in this video.
Yeah, it's incredible that it's come to this, you know?
Mm-hmm. And they focus on, there was a person dragged inside the consulate. Well, that person walked 50, 60 meters and entered the gate. And then they grabbed him and didn't want to let go. He chose to put himself inside the compound. Let's be clear.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, where can we move from here? I mean, the issue is that once we start to see this, it could be duplicated, replicated in many other parts of the world. And that is the scary part. And something could happen. And then when it does happen, or somebody gets, shot, or, of course, they got to defend it.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't storm embassies. Rule number 1, kids, don't storm embassies. I mean, common sense. Anyway, Fernando, I'm going to give you the floor here as we round up the show here, and you can tell our guests what you're going to be up to in the next little while. And when you're about to get finished there, I will cue in the music, and we will let our audiences talk together amongst each other. We don't want to have a hard cut here on the program because everybody has been so great and interactive during this program. It's always a pleasure to have Fernando on this program as well. We will be moving soon into a new studio here at the iChongqing. And don't forget, for all the people watching today, please put the links out to Fernando's site. They're also in the description below, but please put the links out to his channel as well. And if you're watching from Fernando's channel, we would greatly appreciate if you come over and check us out at the iChongqing on YouTube as well. A great play-by-play here, and for explaining that story, because I'm sure the Western media has their own agenda in the collective West on what to tell. But I'm going to hand the screen over to you. I will still be back screen, and we'll cue in the music later, and then we'll drop, and we'll say our nice goodbyes to everyone. Okay, over to you, Fernando.
Thanks. 2 things to bear in mind when we talk about this 20th National People's Congress. Number 1 is the report actually acknowledges that the GDP of China is changing, is morphing. It is not what it was a decade ago, when for 20, almost 30 years, it grew at double digits. Now it's growing at 1 digit. But what people need to focus on is the different kind of GDP. For 30 years, it was cheap labor. Now it's technology. Now is breakthroughs. Now is high tech. Now is knowledge intensive, not labor intensive. So this is a very important thing to consider. It's a GDP growth, lower, but it's a different kind of and push for developing prosperity for everybody means China will focus over the next 10, 20 years on developing a much stronger domestic economy that is impervious to sanctions, that is impervious to what is happening outside. They want to build a stronger economy domestically through developing education at different levels, through developing poverty alleviation and rejuvenation of rural areas. All these things are focused on developing a stronger internal economy that might not see double-digit growths, but that is going to be more impervious to international waves that come and go. Important to note before we go, we need to mention what is happening to chip manufacturing. The United States sanctioning and so to speak, forcing all kind of cooperation with China in terms of chip manufacturing to stop. That is going to be an immediate hit. But if China has shown us is that what they do is they rise up to the challenge. I don't need to go too far. Remember the International Space Station. In 2011, America said, no, China, you don't go to the International Space Station. Today they have their own. And in 2024, America's International Space Station will be decommissioned. So yes, this is something important to notice, something that China will surely overcome. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be quick. But the last thing that I want to mention is how the world is turning. We just heard that Saudi Arabia, number one, did not increase oil production after being asked by Joe Biden to at least delay it until the midterms are over. And Saudi Arabia went and said no. But more important than that, they have shown interest in joining BRICS. This is a clear cut with the West. So we're seeing a lot of things realigning, and the next 5 years of Xi Jinping's rule in China are going to be key. You don't change leadership in the middle of such important developments. It is all part of the blueprint that Xi Jinping has set out for China. He's not done. He's not done. As for myself, my channel, Are We There Yet? We are going to get going tomorrow morning, and we're going to be heading out again to the south to get away from winter. I have a few projects to work on. I'll be covering the Zhuhai International Air Show, at the beginning of November. And I might be going to see the birthplace of Confucius as part of a tour. All COVID permitting, of course. But that's it for me. So guys, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much, Alex, for inviting me to join your show and for showing it on both channels. If you guys don't know who Alex is or who iChongqing is, make sure to click in the description down below and go visit using his link. And well, until we see you again, take it easy and bye for now.